Welcome in, latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on the Twitters, and there he is, our great friend, Stephen Lassan, senior editor over at Athlon Sports. Stephen, how are you with the season here? I know this is your favorite time of the year.
Mike, college football starts this Saturday. I don't know about you, but I am ready to see some actual games. I love the preseason, love talking all of the rankings and predictions and hypotheticals. But man, this Saturday, the journey starts, and I can't wait to kick this thing off, and then can't wait till Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday football bonanza coming up.
Yeah, no doubt. So, man, so much football action headed our way. The minutes, I don't know about you, Stephen. You remember that old Simpsons where they're like in the classroom and they're waiting for summer to hit, and the clock is just tick, tick, and it's going so slow, then it starts going backwards. That's what it feels like for me, because college football is right around the corner. And the only way, Stephen, the only way that I know of to make college football even better, head on over to mybookie.ag and start wagering on the action. If you do that, don't forget the promo code SEC, and they will match your initial deposit 100% over at mybookie.ag. They're our presenting sponsor all football season. This is fourth season in a row. We've been partnered with MyBookie, and if you really want to help the show, go over to mybookie.ag, sign up for an account, and most importantly, don't forget that promo code SEC. And while you're at it, Stephen, I mean, you're going to win some games if you listen to Stephen fade me. But with those winnings, go over there and get you some Tennessee Legends, Stephen. That's what we'll be drinking on all football season as we do the power rankings. And we drink as our teams lose. We drink as our teams win. But it's not going to be football without some Tennessee Legends whiskey. Stephen, I'm just so fired up. I'm ready to I could down this whole bottle here of Tennessee Legends. You know what?
We might need that by the end of this episode as where we're going tonight. I don't know about you, but there was like this weekend kind of crossed like the threshold, because like every team had that scrimmage in the last practices, and then you turn it around and everybody's like, we've started game prep. Like, I know teams have been working on it like in the fall practice, getting ready for certain opponents. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now the preseason's really over. You're prepping for week one. Alabama's getting ready for Florida State. Florida State's been pretty chirpy all off season. Alabama's getting ready for them. We got all the games coming up. So I can't wait. Like I said, it's a blast to talk about the preseason, but it's going to be better just to see all of these predictions start to come true in just a matter of days, or somebody, maybe me, looks really wrong in a few weeks. So.
Right, and right here's where you're going to be wrong for all the cousins, Stephen. Stephen's coming up with the top 50 players in the SEC, and they are already, Stephen, irate over the thumbnail, which I can verify. Stephen literally had nothing to do with the thumbnail, so your freak out is unwarranted, but I just threw some players on there. I guess I should have done all 50. Maybe I'll do it at some point in time. But hey, shout out Brian Simpson. Wow, Cousin Shane lost some weight. MIZ. We appreciate you, Brian. But no, that is not Shane. But check this out, Stephen. I haven't even shown this to you. I want to update the cousins. I just got a text from everybody's favorite cousin, Cousin Shane. The only caption, he sent a photo and a caption. The caption says smashed. Here's the photo Cousin Shane sent. Looks like we got Coors Light. We got Twisted Tea. We got Modelo. Should have some Tennessee Legend in the background. That's probably what's in that bottle. I see cigarettes. Shane's supposed to stop smoking cigarettes. I can tell that is not taking place. There's goldfish. There's pizza. And you'll notice the plate there is completely barren. I can only imagine who or what has been on that plate, Stephen. But I think it's Shane's favorite line is diet starts on Monday. I think that's what he's going to say when he gets back.
Can you Photoshop a bottle of that Tennessee Legends into that image? I love like all that stuff, and there's a random bag of goldfish right there. Of all the things, I guess maybe it's one of those things. If you're, your cousin Shane, like you've worked hard, taking a vacation, like what is it? Calories don't count on vacation, I guess. So take the week off, get back to the diet next week.
Yeah, Geez Louise says cigs and goldfish. This is authentic, you know?
That's why he's Cousin Shane, and that's why he's the Tennessee Homer and the Tennessee legend, right?
Yeah. All right, so we got a lot to get into here. Some shenanigans, Stephen. Again, we're going to go top 50 SEC players, but before we do that, just real quick, we don't have to spend a ton of time because there's no SEC games or anything, but there is college football on Saturday, Stephen, highlighted by number 22 Iowa State facing number 17 Kansas State in Dublin. What will you be looking for in that matchup, or really any of the week 0 games?
Mike, I'm going to be watching all of these games because I am a college football sicko, and I have been dying for college football since the Ohio State Notre Dame game ended. But I think if you want to focus on like the best game, it's Iowa State and Kansas State. It's a matchup of two of the top favorites in the Big 12. If you start thinking way down the road, there's maybe some potential playoff positioning. Remember last year, Georgia Tech and Florida State played a great game over in Ireland. I think this game could be even better than that. You got two great quarterbacks. There could be a lot of just intrigue. This could be one of the better games of like week 0 and week 1. The other thing that I have my eye on is Fresno State at Kansas, because Missouri plays Kansas early in the season. Want to get a good look at this Kansas team, kind of see where two new coordinators, the progression of Jalen Daniels at quarterback. He's been banged up. So I think if you're a Missouri fan, just getting a good look at this Kansas team when they play Fresno State, a team that they are favored by double digits, should be a good opportunity to see what the Jayhawks look like.
Any chance that Kansas loses? Because that would be hilarious.
I'm higher in Fresno State than most people, like getting into the weeds of like the Mountain West. I think Kansas should win this game, though.
Okay.
It sounds like Jalen Daniels is back to being the Jalen Daniels we saw like way back like in 2023. So yeah, I think pretty slim chance here for Kansas.
And then who is we got Stanford Hawaii is the late game. Doesn't Stanford, is it Frank Richt? I think is the former NFL coach. Is he their new head coach?
He is. Yeah. So Andrew Luck is actually their general manager. And like you said, Frank Wright there is the head coach for the season. He's the, Kurt, and as our comments say, the Kurt Warner son being the starting quarterback at Fresno State. But yeah, Stanford, it was decimated by transfer losses. They get the late game against Hawaii. So yeah, if you're looking for, I think the Stanford Hawaii game's got pretty solid potential. Hawaii's favored at home. So if you're looking just for kind of a nice little way to cap off the first Saturday, I think it's a good game to check out.
All right, Steve. So let's get into the real action, SEC. And last night, Tennessee, no surprise, they named Joey Aguilar starting quarterback. What are your thoughts on that, Stephen? Does that change anything for you for Tennessee? And what's your read on the Tennessee offense heading into the opener against Syracuse?
Not much surprise. I think if just thinking Tennessee brought in Joey Aguilar from the portal, paid him probably pretty well in NIL dollars, and he's your most experienced quarterback, probably the one that fits the offense the best. No surprise that he won the job. I think it's probably a good thing to see him solidify himself as the starter. I think had this continued maybe a few weeks, maybe into week 1 with the uncertainty, I'd have been a little bit worried about where this is for Tennessee. You could also look at it and say, well, maybe Merklinger had just improved and pushed him. But I think it's good that Aguilar just went out and won the job. I think looking ahead, early in the season, Tennessee's got those 2 games before they play Georgia, Syracuse, and East Tennessee State. I think it's going to be important for Aguilar to really build some confidence. And I think it's going to be fascinating just to see how he fits. He's got the arm strength, the willingness to push the ball downfield. He's very mobile. I think he's going to take some chances. I think he's probably going to find out at times that some of those windows in the SEC close a lot faster in the Sun Belt. But at the same time, there is some potential for chaos here in the Tennessee offense with that boom or bust potential here that he could bring. So I think good to see that he's a starter. Good way to start the season. Favorable matchups. The big test will come against Georgia early in the season.
Hey, and shout out Cousin Brian Simpson. Stephen, he gave us another donation. Thank you, Cousin Brian. Why did Missouri name both their quarterbacks captains? Then I'll be quiet. Thank you, guys. So anybody that missed it, Sam Horn and Bo Pribula, both named team captains by Missouri. Thoughts on that, Stephen? Does that change anything for you when it comes to this quarterback competition?
It just adds to the mystery, doesn't it? I think it's probably good for Missouri that you have two guys at quarterback that have great leadership that you feel good about. I think Prabula is probably going to end up being the starter. And like we talked about before, you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it as it's good that Sam Horn is pushing him. It makes probably both quarterbacks better. Maybe Sam Horn is just improved. You could also look at it as maybe Prabula just hasn't been as good as they anticipated. But if you're Missouri, could you really go into the season with Sam Horn as your only kind of legitimate option to start right now? Like you needed somebody with some experience to push him. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for Missouri. I think just in terms of trying to process what it might mean when you have a quarterback battle, you're looking at the tea leaves. You're always looking for something like captains or something if you're, trying to guess. And this doesn't really, I don't think it really gives us much insight. Do you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I thought it was winding down, and now it seems to be as tight as ever. Now, they've done this before. It was 2 years ago, I believe. Brady Cook and Sam Horn both named team captain. So Sam Horn's been a captain for a long time. But hey, they won 11 games that year. So that doesn't mean much for this year, but just means that this is, Drink is no stranger to pulling this, but it is pretty rare, I think. I'm sure this is inaccurate, but the last I can remember two captains that were quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Tua at Alabama. That's just the last I can remember, but it is interesting.
Wouldn't it be kind of weird if like your backup quarterback and your backup quarterback had won a captaincy and the starter wasn't a captain as well? That'd be really a weird dynamic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So maybe old Drink's protected from that. You know what?
Could. Yeah. I think that definitely makes some sense. I still think Prabula wins this job, don't you?
Yeah, I think he fits what they want to do a little bit better. But again, I wouldn't rule Sam Horn out. He could be in Major League Baseball right now. He could have transferred when he lost or didn't win the job with Brady Cook. So he's had many. He could have left when they added Prabula. So I mean, there's been many opportunities for Sam Horn to leave his football team, and he refuses to do it. So I wouldn't write him off either. I really wouldn't.
You might need two quarterbacks to win too. I mean, if Prabula could be, I mean, let's just say he's streaky as a passer, and I think that's the big question coming into this year. You ask him to run 10 to 15 times a game, he's probably going to get banged up at sometimes during the season. So you need a second guy that you feel good about. And so if you've had Sam Horn in your system the last couple of years, he's healthy. He's also thought highly of enough by the players to be voted a captain. I think that gives you probably a little bit of insurance if you're Missouri to feel good about, hey, if Prabula goes down at any point, we feel good about our number 2 quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And we also feel good, Stephen, about cousin Glenn Warsaw. He just gifted a membership to All Real Texan. Welcome to
the family.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. We appreciate you, buddy. So thank you for doing that. We really do appreciate it. And Boomer B Dad. What a name, Stephen. He is also gifted a membership. I'm not seeing. Oh, here we go. Boomer B Dad just gifted Dan Rudloff. Dan, welcome to
the family.
Yeah, thank you, Boomer Dad. We appreciate you stepping up and gifting a donation here. So, all right. So Missouri. No, maybe nowhere closer. Also, Stephen, this kind of caught me off guard. Kentucky. What? Apparently, Zach Calzada and Cutter Boley are still battling it out for the starting role, according to Mark Stoops. Does that change anything for you when it comes to Kentucky? I mean, heck, I thought they were bringing in Calzada to be the guy. Stoops has been touting, hey, we're getting this experienced quarterback. He's going to lead the way. Now, all of a sudden, we are a week away from the season, and he hasn't won the job.
Mike, I think it kind of goes at the thought process. Like, is it good that you have somebody pushing a quarterback that you brought into the portal to be your starter? Or is it a sign of concern that a quarterback that struggled last year, albeit it's just kind of his first extended action, is pushing a guy that you kind of counted on to sort of bring the floor into a nice spot for your offense this year? So I'm a little bit worried here if I'm Kentucky, because I think the thought process is you bring in Calzada, he raises that floor. He's been in the SEC at 2 different schools. He's played well at times. He gave you a nice, stable option while you have all these transfer pieces around you. You're sorting this out, but you got this veteran quarterback who's been through the ringer of the SEC. So I look at it as a sign of concern. The other side of me would say, well, maybe Boley's just playing better and he's closing the gap. I still think I would have liked, if I was a Kentucky fan, to see Calzada come in, just clearly claim the job, and you can build around him for this year, because I think he is their best option given what we've seen out of both of them.
Yeah. Again, we don't really need to rehash this, but I'm down on Kentucky, and this is not helping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, what Seth McGowan's been banged up to in fall practice, brand new offensive line. A lot of concerns at receiver. And I think that kind of gets at the idea of, you'd like to have one guy just come in, solidify the job. You can work with all the pieces up front and work with the receivers and build some cohesion. Because, Mike, I keep saying, maybe I'm crazy, I think Toledo can give Kentucky a game in week 1. I would not look past this Toledo team. They are the favorite to win the MAC by some people. They have an experienced quarterback, and they have been good on defense in the last couple of years in the MAC. And the MAC has been giant killers. Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame last year. Toledo beat Mississippi State last year too. They can go on the road and get a win. So I would be very, very concerned if I'm Kentucky for that game.
Yeah, no doubt. How about this? Would you be concerned if Coach O came back into coaching? Because he was on Pardon My Take, I think it was this morning. I listened to it, Stephen. He said he's very interested. I would say less than 5% shot that he's back in the SEC as a head coach. What's your thoughts, Coach O, wanting to get back into coaching?
I think SEC head coach, probably a long shot. If you told me Ed Orgeron, defensive line coach, recruiter, yeah, sign me up, right? I think Coach O can recruit. He can develop defensive linemen. Maybe if he's a head coach, maybe it's like at the G5 level or something like that. I find it hard to believe that some SEC team's going to take a chance on him.
I'll line it up perfectly for you, Stephen. Coach O, Texas, defensive line coach. Boom. They sign up for that tomorrow, wouldn't they?
I like that idea. Yeah. I could see where you're going with that one. What about Ed Orgeron on like Auburn staff, or could just be that's like the chaos meter would be insanely high. It's like Jimbo getting like Adazio and Petrino together, just getting as many interesting personalities in one room as you could.
Well, all right. Now this one is not a joke. He's tight with Lane Kiffin. Could you see him? I don't know how he'd feel about Pete Golding, working under Pete Golding, but could you see Coach O no, hell no. He was the head coach up there. If he wasn't the head coach, that'd be a perfect marriage right there.
Petrino went back to Arkansas though. Should we really?
Well, that's true.
Right. I mean,
I can promise you Coach O's not welcome at Oxford. I know that.
Yeah. They say, was it time heals all wounds? I'm not so sure that applies to SEC football.
Emily says they'd take him at Auburn, which I think they would. But that doesn't say much for their current coach. It's. I take a lamp over Hugh Freeze.
If you told me Ed Orgeron was being hired as a head coach,
mm-hmm.
show me the staff and tell him to stay out of the offensive and defensive coordinator rooms and just focus on being fundraiser and recruiter, and you might win some games. But if he's going to meddle in the staffing and schematics and stuff we've seen in other places, and it's not going to work. That's why I would be stunned if he's a like head coach in the SEC. Position coach, maybe like co-coordinator in title. I could see that maybe.
Yeah. Well, he coached Joe Burrow. Don't forget. Hey, also, Stephen, we can't forget, shout out N.S. Pang. I don't know how to say that. N.S. Pang. Welcome to
the family.
Welcome to the family.
We appreciate you.
Welcome to the family. Welcome
We
to
really
the
appreciate
family.
it. All right, sorry. All right, that's gonna hop me there. All right, last things here, Steve. Before we get to the top 50 players, there are two games in particular that, for whatever reason, this is like coming a sticking point, and there's people talking about it. And I want to shout out. This may be comical to you, but I'm really seeing it. And Shane is, when he's not drinking Modelo and all that other stuff, he is very concerned about Mississippi State hosting Tennessee. These Mississippi State fans, Stephen, and again, this is not a joke. They have this game circled as like, let's circle the wagons. This is the game we can steal. Tennessee struggles on the road at times. Hell, they lost to Arkansas. Let's not forget last year. Any concern at all that Tennessee could get upset on the road at Mississippi State this season?
Absolutely. You go on the road in the SEC, as we saw Tennessee do to Arkansas last year, anything can happen. I think Mississippi State will be better this year. I'm not sold that they get an SEC win, but anytime, like I think when you're evaluating some of these teams like a Mississippi State, Kentucky, your mind immediately goes to, okay, what home games are winnable? And Tennessee's probably one of those ones that's winnable for Mississippi State. I don't think, if you ask me to pick it straight up, I would take Tennessee. But, it just goes back to the idea, like, what if Tennessee's offense really sputters this year? What if their offensive line struggles? You go on the road to Starkville, that can be a tough place to play. If their offense is clicking, defense is better, yeah, I could talk myself into Mississippi State pulling off an upset here.
Could you still believe it, Stephen, if I looked this up to verify it because people were talking about it? Mississippi State's lost their last 8 well, I think it's really the last 10, but I just went the last 2 years. The last 8 conference games at home by a combined 170 points. So that's an average margin of defeat of over 3 touchdowns the last 2 seasons at home. Does that change anything for you?
Yes and no. Let me tell you. Let me tell you why it doesn't. Is because in this era of college football, who would have predicted Vanderbilt to beat Alabama last year?
Yeah.
I mean, and how, I don't remember many people picking Arkansas to beat Tennessee last season. I know there were some. These games are going to happen, and more than ever in this portal era where rosters are so different from year to year. Like, our priors in knowledge and knowing about these teams still hold up pretty well, but also think like the volatility from week to week or from season to season is going to be pretty wide. So I think, to me, like, I think Mississippi State, they have been bad recently, but I'm banking on them being a little bit better this year. And if Tennessee's offense is not as good, maybe the defense takes a step back, you get vulnerable on the road. So am I crazy, Mike?
Yes, you are crazy. And then one more. Again, this is turning into one hell of a series, Stephen, and I have called it a playoff eliminator that no one's talking about except for us. South Carolina at Missouri early in the season, September 21st. Missouri has owned South Carolina up until last year. Drake has owned South Carolina up until last year. But I don't see either one of these teams, Stephen, Missouri or South Carolina. I don't see either one of them going to the college football playoff if they drop this game. Now, they still could. Let's take Missouri, for example. If they drop that game, but they got to turn around and they'll have to beat like an Alabama or an A&M or maybe at Oklahoma. Basically, they got to flip one where you got them potentially losing. But I don't know if I see it. What is the importance? Am I overstating the importance, I guess, of this South Carolina at Missouri? Could you see it being essentially a playoff eliminator like I'm saying?
I don't know if I would go playoff eliminator, but I think it's pretty close if you don't go to that title. Just thinking about Missouri's early season schedule, I think they will be 3-0 going into that South Carolina game. And so with the game against UMass, like that game against South Carolina probably determines whether they're undefeated or not going into the showdown against Alabama. And you have a bye week in there as well. So, for a Missouri team that comes into the season unranked, not getting a lot of respect by the pollsters. If you want to get some respect, beat South Carolina, you're jumping to the top 25. And in South Carolina, on the other side of things, their schedule being so backloaded, it's almost like even if you think they have a shot to get to 9 or 10 wins, a game against Missouri, while it's going to be very difficult to go into Missouri and get a victory, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, and Clemson later in the season is significantly challenging for this team, as good as South Carolina may be this year. So it's almost like if you're breaking down the games and trying to almost build yourself a buffer before that end of season stretch, like you've got to get this one if you're South Carolina. So it has a massive swing potential for both teams. I think for perception for Missouri and also for South Carolina, just missing the playoff, you start off hot, you give yourself a little bit of room to maneuver later in the season when your schedule gets tougher.
Mm-hmm. All right, Stephen, it's time. Top 50 players. But before we do that, shout out our friends, Ponco Outdoors. Stephen, Ponco Outdoors /SEC. That's the link. I'll put it in the show notes. It's in the podcast if you're just listening back, audio version. Ponco Outdoors /SEC, Stephen, to get $10 off your order at Ponco Outdoors. Stephen, I was wearing it for the morning show. I mean, they just can't be beat over there at Ponco, even though they're an Austin-based company. They even got Tennessee colors. I had the Tennessee shirt on for Joey Aguilar. Shout out Ponco. But they make shirts, Stephen, in original, Western, denim, ultra light. You can get them short sleeve, long sleeve, regular, slim fit, all the colors that you want, Stephen. And they got the Ponco Promise. What's that? Free shipping, free returns, free exchanges on every shirt. So go check them out. Ponco Outdoors.com /SEC. You got to use that specific link to get $10 off your first order. And you know what, Stephen? If I like your top 50 players, I might just order you some Ponco Outdoors.
Mike, that shirt was sharp this morning. I saw it. I saw it pop up. I was, I was having my morning coffee, checked in on the show and saw you were in Tennessee orange. I figured I wasn't sure if it was a tribute to Cousin Shane or if it was to Joey Aguilar, but I guess it could be for both, right?
Yeah, that Tennessee orange will wake your ass up in the morning. All right, speaking of waking up, let's get into it, Stephen. Top 50. And, before we reveal, you cannot say Arch Manning 50 times. I should have led with that. Hopefully this is not all Longhorns. Any thoughts you want to relay before we get into the list here?
Yeah, Mike, this is hard. This is really, really difficult to do. There are so many good players in the SEC. A lot of these you could almost do tiers. You could do like tier 1 players, tier 2. They're all clustered kind of close together. You get past a certain number and it's kind of like, do you weigh potential? Do you weigh production? My guiding principle in this was trying to think about 2025 and try to think about like production and potential and just how good of a season are these players going to have. So yes, there is some bio mixed in here, but there's also a lot of projection to go along with that as well. Also, positional importance. I'm a big quarterback believer. Defensive ends, offensive tackles, they got a bump in the rankings because of positional importance. So there's a lot of guys that didn't make it that could have made it. And if anybody wants to debate the list, I'm very flexible in the rankings. I think there's a lot of, like I said, good players in the league. You could shake these up a couple different ways.
Yep. All right. So let's start at the bottom, Stephen. This is a guy I fought for. Who do you got as number 50 on the list?
Got Jaden Baugh, the running back from Florida. Mike did offer feedback for this list too, so anybody that's upset can complain to him too. Mike, I don't know about you, but I think that Jaden Baugh has been consistently underrated this offseason. I've looked at other all-conference teams. He's like invisible. I know Billy Napier likes to share carries, and they've got some other backs there that are talented, but it just feels like with Montrell Johnson moving on, Jaden Baugh behind that offensive line, if he gets 250 to 300 carries this year, whatever that number is, he's going to have an all SEC caliber first season, kind of season. So not a lot of running backs made the list because there's a lot of guys who are going to share carries this year, and that kind of shakes up the uncertainty here. But I really like the breakout potential even more for Jaden Baugh this year.
Yeah, they're just, the game has kind of gone away from the I don't know what you want to the term, but like a workhorse type running back where you, and for good reason. Alabama and Georgia and now Texas, you can have a ton of success mixing and matching those guys. But I really do think Jaden Ball could be that guy for the Florida Gators. And another guy, Steven, who I think could fit that description at number 49. Who you got there?
We have Ahmad Hardy, the running back from Missouri. He's obviously the first transfer to make the list. I think the kind of breakdown on Hardy and it's something that you and I talked about a few weeks ago. Like, I love the ability to generate yards after contact, not knowing what Missouri's offensive line is going to be this year as they mix and match and try to find the right five. But with Prabula, you've got a good running quarterback. You pair him with Ahmad Hardy. Missouri's had a great track record of producing standout running backs and even under Drinkowitz. So I think just looking at his production at UL Monroe, one of the hardest places to win, brand new offense last year, over 1,000 yards. He goes into the SEC. We'll see how that translates, but I think the opportunities and carries and production will be there. He's got probably the easiest path to 1,000 yards in the SEC because of those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And, it would be no surprise if he's all SEC. Did you have him there in the magazine? I can't recall.
Yeah, I think he's first team all SEC in the magazine. Maybe this is a good time to talk about running backs because, like Trey Wisner, Jaden Ott, Nate Frazier at Georgia, Le'Veon Moss of Texas A&M, like none of those guys made it. But I want to be clear, like that's more about what we're projecting for production. And I'll, on Wisner, I really like CJ Baxter at Texas. Like, I would not be surprised if he's got a couple plays this year that go, oh yeah, like that's why he was supposed to be pretty good coming into 2024 before he had the season-ending knee injury. So just running backs are such a difficult position in the SEC to figure out this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned Moss, but you got his teammate next on this list. Who you got as the 48th best player in the SEC?
We're going to another transfer. Kevin KC Concepcion. Mike, I love the all-purpose versatility. He's an all-around threat. I think Texas A&M fans are going to love the rushing, special teams, receiving. It goes back to when you watch A&M last year, they need people who can catch a short pass, take it long, miss a tackle, turn that into a 30-yard game. They need game breakers, difference makers on the outside. And I think that's what Concepcion can bring to this offense after doing that at NC State.
Yeah, and he's just going to make Marcel Reed look that much better. That's what, he's the big question mark and someone that a lot of people are doubting. But all of a sudden, if you're surrounded by all SEC caliber receivers, quarterback all of a sudden is no longer a problem. You know what?
Marcel Reed's life is going to be so much easier this year. I mean, he's had a full offseason to work as the starter. They've got one of the best offensive lines in the country, and now you've given him a couple guys on the outside, and you throw in Terry Bussey. This receiving core already looks a lot better before we've played a game. So I'm excited to see Marcel Reed because it feels like a lot of, like we talk about that middle tier of the SEC, if he's maybe as good as the upside is this year, I mean, A&M can make another run at the playoff.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 47, Steven. LSU added a lot of transfers, but people are forgetting the guy they're bringing back.
We're going with Aaron Anderson, the receiver from LSU at 47. Big question, of course, with Garrett Nussmeier throwing passes. The offensive line is a bit of a concern for me still, but somebody and probably a couple receivers are going to catch a lot of passes here. And we saw this last year with Anderson, ultra productive in the SEC. So kind of thinking as we look ahead to 2025, with, obviously Mason Taylor's gone, CJ Daniels is transferred. There's a lot of kind of, it feels like opportunity for Anderson to go from leading receiver last year to go to another level this year and continue being Garrett Nussmeier's number one receiver.
Mm-hmm. And then you got his teammate at number 46.
Harold Perkins at 46. Mike, I have no idea what to do with Harold Perkins. I'm not sure LSU does either. He's kind of the ultimate X factor. There's no question about talent And if we turn on the tape from previous years, the pass rushing, the difference making ability, a game changer, where does he fit in this defense? I think is a real question. So he's 46, but honestly, he's got potential to be much higher in this list just given his raw talent.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Stephen, because I wanted to ask you, of the guys we've hit on, I mean, all very talented, but is this one where maybe you're like the least confident in the number, or because I could see Harold Perkins not being on this list. I could see Harold Perkins being in the top 10 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think he was probably one of the hardest players to rank on this list. When I started, like I did almost like 3 versions of this list. My first version had him a lot higher, and I kept going back to like that raw talent puts him up here, but the production, the injuries kind of pushed him down, not knowing what exactly role he's going to fit this year. So he is one of the hardest players to rank, but also I think it's fair to say like he is a big X factor because maybe LSU finds a way to get him in on pass rushes, situations this year, and he's a really kind of nice chess piece in that, or do they carve out more of like a full-time role and he thrives in that? So that's incumbent on Blake Baker to figure this out because he's too talented to not make an impact this year.
Yeah, and I can confirm everything Steven just said. I mean, he sent me multiple versions of this list, and even right before we started this, he said, we got to flip number 3 and 4. I mean, he's going into the weeds for this one. All right, number 45, Steven.
Mike, we are going to Tuscaloosa and to pick Keon Sabb, the safety from Alabama. Really solid first season in Tuscaloosa. He got banged up at the end of the year, transferred in from Michigan. So I like when you thought about Alabama coming into last season, the secondary was a big question. How would all these transfers fit? How would the new pieces fit under Kane Womack? I think Keon Sabb is going to be one of those guys that we saw glimpses of what he could be last year. Assuming he stays healthy, I think there's a chance that he's maybe on some All-America list at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because, again, I think Alabama's going to have one of the better defenses in the conference next season. And, year 2, getting away from that Nick Saban. Well, you don't want to get away from the Nick Saban era, but players being more in tune with what the defensive coaches are asking them now that we're transitioning away from a new system. I think that's going to help everybody.
Also, going back to, I would totally agree with what you said there. Like, I think Alabama as a team is just more comfortable now that you've had a full offseason to work under Kalen DeBoer and the staff. But going back to South Alabama when Kane Womack was the head coach, and I say hybrid, and we use all these defensive terms, and they all kind of just like mesh together, and you're not sure like which. But he did a nice job of using like versatile chess pieces at linebacker, edge, secondary, safety. So I suspect that now that he's had a full offseason to work with someone like Keon Sabb, they can find ways to make him an even more valuable piece of this defense.
All right, number 44, Stephen, the first Sooner that we've hit on.
Grayson Halton at defensive tackle checking in. Mike, I love this Oklahoma defensive line, whether it's our Mason Thomas coming off the edge, Grayson Halton, Demonic Williams, Jaden Jackson, somebody on the interior needs to be on this list. And so Grayson Halton gets the nod here. Good run stuffer, still some potential, I think, to get better this season. So he checks in at 44, but like Keon Sabb, like Harold Perkins, wouldn't totally shock me if another year under Brent Venables helps him take his game up another notch to higher on this list.
Right. And, they've got so much talent on that defensive line this year, Stephen. It's going to be hard. I think by the end of the year, a lot of people just look at production and numbers and things of that nature. It may be hard to pick apart who's the real standouts because the stat sheet is not always going to tell the story, particularly if one player is getting double teamed and it's freeing up others. But, I think this is going to be very close to like a Tennessee defensive line last year where they're going to be able to rotate a ton of guys in and out of there. And a lot of linemen, I think, are going to eat in Norman this fall.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you've got, David Stone coming back. I mean, you've got Marvin Jones coming off the edge and some Taylor Wynn. I mean, this group is deep. And so when it goes to the stat sheet, it kind of further illustrates that it's not all about stats. Like when it comes to trying to rank these guys and figure out their versatility. I mean, Halton only had 6 tackles for a loss last year. I mean, for a defensive tackle, that's probably acceptable if you're just doing like a kind of a quick view of the stats. But I think just from the impact and the ways they can stop the run, free up the rushers for guys like Mason Thomas to get after the quarterback, I think Halton's a pretty valuable piece of that defense.
All right, Stephen, number 43, going back to Bama.
Deontay Lassan at linebacker. Kind of hard to rank, Mike, because of the injury. Coming back from the injury, how close to 100% is he going to be? But still, ultra productive linebacker, middle of the defense, kind of going back to our conversation on Keon Sabb. Second year in this system, I think there's a chance that he's even more settled and becoming a better player, assuming he's 100%. So I like Deontay Lassan, kind of steady presence. And again, if he's healthy, plays every game, probably needs to be a few spots higher in this list.
But not as high as number 42, Steven. You're buying the hype. I'm ashamed of you.
I am buying the hype. Eric Singleton, the receiver transfer from Georgia Tech, coming over to Auburn. My only question with him is how many, passes are there going to go around to these receivers? Because Cam Coleman's going to be a stud. I think he's going to be an All-American type of guy this year. But you also got other talent in that room too. So how many catches is there? When you look at Singleton's numbers the last 2 years, 48 catches as a true freshman, over 50 last season in 2024. You have to kind of almost like put him in 1-for-1 to Keandre Lambert-Smith. So I think the production will be there, but now he's going from a Georgia Tech offense to an Auburn offense that probably will try and throw the ball a few more times. Of course, this all depends on how good Jackson Arnold is too.
Yes, indeed. And, I don't want to tease anything, but I don't know if he's on this list. But I tell you who is, Stephen, our first quarterback on the list. Who is it?
Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. I think fair to say that he is in the breakout star category, Mike, but also a name that could be much higher on this list. He's very difficult to rank because the potential is tantalizing. When you watch that drive against Georgia, there's a ton of upside in this offense. There was also a offensive line that has questions. There's a lot of new. How fast does it come together as a first-time starter? So hard to rank, but I'm going to bank on talent and potential, and that's why he made our top 50 list.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? But again, word out of Oxford is, Kiffin and company love this guy. They think he's the most talented quarterback they've worked with. But, I think there's going to be some ups and downs. I think he'll be a fine player. I don't know that I'm fully bought in, but heck, if he is, I just think it's so hard to replace a first round guy. You know what I mean? And I just can't get over that. So, I don't think I'd have Austin Simmons this high, but he very well could prove me wrong, and he's got all the talent in the world, and I think he's still only like 19 years old. So whatever he shows this year, Stephen, I think it's just going to be scratching the surface of what he's going to be by the time he exits the program, if that makes sense.
I think that's the perfect way to almost describe Austin Simmons. Is like it feels like he's being picked as a breakout candidate this offseason. I think he's going to meet those expectations, but I think when you start thinking down the road to 2026 and whatever happens beyond that in eligibility, that he's going to be one of the probably top quarterbacks in the SEC. Like he can only get better from here. They can only continue to improve the supporting cast. Also, shout out to SEC legend Jackson Dart. He's looked great in the preseason for the Giants. So leaving big shoes to fill for Austin Simmons for sure.
All right, Stephen, we're going to have to check on your mental well-being because we've got 10 guys into this list. We haven't gotten a Longhorn yet, but we're about to get one.
Mike, we're sweaty as always because there's no Longhorns yet, but that's okay. We're going to go to Ryan Wingo at number 40. I think another guy, much like Austin Simmons, we are projecting to have a breakout season. If you look back last year, true freshman numbers, 29 catches, over 400 yards, 16 yards per catch. You also look at late in the season, he started to come on a little bit. We saw a couple catches against Clemson, Arizona State. So I think there's an opportunity given what Texas loses to the NFL at receiver. I think the big plays are going to be there with Arch Manning. So this is talent plus opportunity plus breakout in a very, very prolific Texas offense.
Which we're going to hear more about here in a little bit. All right, number 39, Stephen.
Going to go back to receiver, and we're going to take Deion Burks. If this guy can stay healthy, Oklahoma's going to have a guy who's probably in contention for All-America honors, because you look at what he did at Purdue a couple of years ago and the value that Oklahoma thought they were getting last season before those injuries. I mean, 31 catches in 5 games, but going back to Purdue, he was one of the top receivers in the Big Ten on a very bad Purdue team. So I think you're kind of looking at this as he's got the talent, he's healthy, and now he's in an offense with John Mateer that's going to allow him to get back to pushing the ball downfield and making big plays. So I'm banking on Deion Burks being one of the SEC's best receivers this year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Stephen. And, of all the teams that could be at the top of the SEC, I question Oklahoma's receivers a little bit, but the one guy I don't question among that group is Deion Burks. So they really need him to step up in a big, big way.
He might be one of the biggest beneficiaries of John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle. Because just the injuries, obviously, but also the opportunities that Mateer is probably going to be looking his way. And I think Oklahoma's deeper receiver this year, provided nobody gets hurt, right? I mean, with what they did to the transfer portal.
All right, another Bama lineman, Stephen.
We're going to Tim Keenan at number 38 here. We talked about this with Grayson Halton. Stats, what do they mean for defensive linemen? Well, Tim Keenan only had 7.5 tackles for a loss last season, but he consistently shows up in all the advanced metrics as being stout against the run. So he makes this list because he's one of the key pieces for Alabama's defensive line, trying to bump up defensive linemen in this rankings. It's a line of scrimmage league. So somebody who's good against the run, somebody who is a centerpiece of a solid Alabama front, Tim Keenan gets the nod at 38.
And hopefully people are starting to see why I'm so high on Alabama with all these elite defenders, and why a big reason I like this next team, Stephen. They can keep their quarterback upright. Oh, you got number 37.
We got Austin Barber, the offensive tackle from Florida. The first of 2 Florida offensive linemen to make this list. So this kind of gets at, the line of scrimmage league kind of mentality here for Florida. The offensive line is one of the best in the country. Barber's been a starter. He's been around in the SEC. He's been a solid player. Good chance he's on some postseason All-America list. So I think the production, the play, it's been there. Now he's kind of with DJ Lagway taking over on a full-time basis. If that offensive line plays up to the potential, Lagway's healthy, there's a chance this team makes a playoff run, and Barber playing well again is a big part of that success.
And who says they don't give offensive linemen love? Steven's got number 36, another offensive lineman.
Going to College Station for Trey Zune, the first of 2 Texas A&M offensive linemen to make this list. Heck, there probably could have been another one. But kind of the same story for Austin Barber. Trey Zune is one of the starters for a Texas A&M offensive line that is one of the best in the country. He's got the experience. He's played well. Checks in. I think you'll see him much like Barber on the postseason All-America team. So Trey Zune, very solid, very versatile, and that's why he's number 36 on our list.
All right, and then another guy that I was fighting for, Stephen, number 35. Too low.
This is this is Mike's call. I guess I should have had him higher. Taylon Green, Mike, a player that you have been consistently high on the last couple of seasons. I remember going back to when we did our top transfers before last season. You were consistently pushing me to have Taylon Green ranked higher. I would like to see more consistency. I would like to see him, especially in the SEC, have that week-to-week consistency. Obviously, the injury last year was a big part of that, like being hurt, not being able to have that dynamic kind of ability on the ground to kind of change some things. So second year under Bobby Petrino, sign me up. I know the supporting cast is a little bit new. There's a lot of change, but I think Taylon Green plus Petrino, they're going to find some ways to score points this year.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, Stephen, but old Sam Pittman was at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. I believe it was either today or yesterday. I believe it was today. And I just saw the clips, and man, of course, he said the same thing last year. But he said, if people are sleeping on us, just wait and see. We got us a squad. If jump on the bandwagon now. So, hey, I love Sam Pittman. He's got me fired up. Taylor Green's got me fired up. So I can't wait to see what they got cooking. But also, Stephen, you know what I can't wait for? The cousin, the legend, JR is back. And
Legend, cousin JR has done it again.
He's done it again, Stephen. This time it's BS Funked has been gifted a membership by cousin JR. BS, welcome to
the family.
Yeah, thanks to the legend JR.
Memberships in this podcast are brought to you in part by cousin JR.
Thank you, JR. We always appreciate your gifts. What a guy. It doesn't matter, Shane or Shane. Stephen, I was doing the show for Shane this morning. Even when I'm doing that, JR is showing up, gifting memberships, whether Shane's doing it at 6:30 my time or I'm hopping on when I wake up at 9:30. It doesn't matter. JR's there. He's a legend. We appreciate you. And also, we got a new legend here, Stephen. Matt Hookem, Matt. He just gifted a membership to Caleb Borowski. Caleb, welcome to
the family.
Yeah, shout out Matt Hookem. We appreciate you, buddy, for gifting a membership. Thank you for supporting the show. And there's a lot more texts coming to get you. Just a little bit of a teaser there for you. All right. But you're going to hate this next one. Number 34, Stephen.
Yeah, we're going to College Station for this next one. Armaj Reed Adams. Consistently, whatever metric, whatever analytics service you want to look at, he was a road grader as an offensive lineman last year. One of the top guards in the country. He transferred in from Kansas and shined right away. So a big part of why Texas A&M's offensive line is considered one of the best in the country. I've got him on my All-America team this year. And that is, I expect kind of a repeat of what we saw last year. A lot of dudes hitting the ground when this guy's coming through to clear rushing lanes.
Right. And again, so, I mean, we still got many guys to go, but 2 A&M offensive linemen in the top 50, according to Stevens. So again, that if I'm an Aggie, I'm pretty fired up on what this ground game, the potential, and this offense, year 2, Colin Klein, Marcel Reed, and that's not to mention Casey Concepcion. So, I don't know. I'm just saying there's some wise people, Stephen, picking A&M to make the college football playoff. I'm feeling pretty good about it right now.
I'm buying some more A&M stock. I think.
Oh, as soon as he's buying stock, his internet goes out. That's probably the Longhorns doing some shenanigans, if I had to guess. Speaking of shenanigans, shout out ACV, gifted a membership. I take it all back. We love the Longhorns. Shout out ACV. He gifted a membership to Skipper, 7366. Skipper, welcome to the family, courtesy of ACV. We appreciate you. Steven still froze. He looks pretty froze to me. I'm going to boot him off. Maybe he'll get back in here in just a second. And shout out Cousin Rick, the best A&M fan out there. Play his little jingle for him.
It's Texas A&M's biggest fan, Cousin Rick. Gig 'em, Aggies.
Thank you, Cousin Rick. Fun list. Curious to see how many of these 10-plus draft picks make the list. Gig 'em and still beat the hell out of Notre Dame. Thank you, Cousin Rick. Really appreciate you. And we also appreciate man, what an awesome donation here from Data Sloth, $50. That restaurant that shall not be named might not sponsor the show, but I sure as hell will. Go Big Orange. We appreciate you, Data Sloth. Thank you so much for the donation. $50. We're going to eat at a better restaurant than the one that shall not be named. Thanks to you, Data Sloth. We appreciate you so much. Still waiting on old Steven. Wonder if his power went out. Maybe this... Again, he started talking up the Aggies. I think the Longhorn in his blood it just probably went crazy right there. So, Not sure. Fire away with some questions while we wait for Steven. Maybe his internet went out. I'm not sure. Hey, shout out. I think he may have gifted another one. Did you? ACV? What a guy you are. Let's see. ACV gifted another membership. Shout out ACV. This time, Ethan Watkins. You have been gifted a membership by ACV. Welcome to the family. We appreciate you. And oh my God, the legend, Rick. I'm going to play his jingle again. He's earned it.
It's Texas A&M's biggest fan, Cousin Rick. Gig 'em, Aggies.
Thank you, Rick. $100 donation. This is to upgrade Steven's internet. Love the show. We love you, Rick. Thank you so much. And we'll be sending that over to Steven immediately so he can figure out what in the heck is going on with his internet. Well, his computer may have died even. I'm not really sure. Let me see. I got my phone on silence here. He may be trying to call me. No, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, here we go. Just got a text from him. He says his power went out. Hopefully it will be back soon. So I hope so too. So, hey, maybe we'll fire away with some questions while we wait for Steven's power to come back on. Matt Hookham says it's the Cracker Barrel tech team taking out the connection. I believe it. Those sons of bitches. I mean, they'll do anything to take us down. But you know what? They are not taking down the spirits of this show. Maybe anybody that missed it, I'm going to throw this back up because I just realized this is the scene Shane sent me right before we went live here. Modelo, Coors Light. I mean, who's mixing like that? And a Twisted Tea. I don't know. He's got the Marlboro, not Marlboros. Those are clearly Camels, and Goldfish, Coca-Cola. I mean, what won't this man consume? I don't know. Multiple pizza boxes. I can't tell if that's 2 or 3 pizzas, but knowing Shane, I'm going to take a wild guess that that's 3 pizza boxes. He is all up in his feelings because of the restaurant that shall not be named, but he'll get the last laugh. He will get the last laugh. You can trust me on that. Cousin JP, appreciate you. How do you think the $300 million to little KU will affect that series in the future? That's interesting. Anybody that missed it, it was last week. Kansas got a $300 million donation. You know, they're going to need money like that being in the Big 12 because the revenue is just so vastly superior in the SEC. So that, institutions like that, they really need that money to kind of close that gap. So I would imagine that's a lot of what it does. I don't think it tips the scales in Kansas' favor by any means, but maybe Missouri fans, you may want to cover your ears on this because there's been rumors and speculation that the SEC may be interested in Kansas. Maybe some of this money goes to just upping, the facilities or what have you there to make Kansas a little bit more attractive. I know they're opening a new football stadium, I believe. Maybe they did that last year. I don't really care. I don't follow these piss poor programs, but they may be giving themselves a facelift in case the SEC does come a-calling, gets North Carolina, gets Kansas, they're already the best basketball conference, but become even better. So I don't know. That's where my mind goes when it comes to $300 donations. Cousin Aaron, have you and Cousin Shane made any bets this year? Yes. Go check out the morning show where he recapped every single offseason bet. I don't have it all in front of me. Otherwise I would repeat where we go. Cousin Jet says, dang, Rick saved some of that money for the Jimbo Fisher buyout. I will disagree with that sentiment, but I do appreciate the comment. That is funny. Appreciate you, G's Louise, for shouting out. I do have Steven's list here, but again, it's his list. So thoughts on Joey, Mike? I don't know. I don't know if that's your guy. I hope it is. I hope old Joey Swagular, as they're calling him now. It was Jake Merkslinger, but now it's Joey Swagular coming to Rocky Top, being the quarterback one for them Tennessee Vols. The interceptions scare the hell out of me. His small stature kind of scares me. Josh Heupel and company, clearly they have a type when it comes to quarterback. They like tall, lengthy guys that can really run the football. And Joey Aguilar is none of those. He's not super mobile. Less than 500 rushing yards the last 2 years, but mobile enough to pick you up some first downs. So I don't think he's going to be like a huge liability or anything, but I probably have him as, I can't remember where I had him in the quarterback rankings, but probably hovering around 8 to 10 if I had to guess. And that may not even be fair to him, but it's more about a retooled offensive line, retooled receiving core, and Josh Heupel, he really does know what he's doing when it comes to producing elite running games. I think they will have a very good running game again. So he'll have that to lean on, but I just don't know if he's coming out here and being a game breaker quarterback. I really don't. Let's see here. We got Wild Hawk. Does Auburn have 2 potential top 10 to 15s with Falk and Coleman? I know they're on the list here, so I'm looking at it now. I can safely say they do. They do. But I want Steven to break it down, not me, because, again, this was Steven's list. Sven he's mad as a damn hornet. The man does not like Steven Lassan and his analysis and all the hard work he puts in. Steven's like the opposite of Shane, where Steven works his ass off and does all these things, and Shane just shows up, and I think it pisses Sven off. But hey, there's something for everybody on this show. So I think they're both fantastic. But I don't get the hate for old Steven. All right. I don't know if Steven's coming back. How long is this damn power going to be out? Cousin Cam, even the power company can't handle the Longhorn glaze. What a comment. That's pretty funny. I think you're right. Cousin Tim, SEC Mike, you're paying Cousin Shane too much money. I don't know. He would strongly disagree with that. And here's, again, if you missed it, here's what Shane's doing with all the money we're sending him. He's just having just shenanigans over there. Shane, he briefly popped in here, if you saw it, and then he disappeared into the night. I would imagine Cousin Shane is passed out. Steven says, all right, update from Steven. Looks like the whole county and my area around it lost power. Not sure what's going on. Feel free to finish out the list. Really sorry. All right, so that's not on old Steven. So let's finish out his list, and maybe he can come back at some point another day to finish us out. But again, I can't give you a full breakdown on his list because it's his list. But where did we were at number 34. Number 33. I'm just going to do the list here for Steven. Number 33, Jalen Kilgore, outstanding cornerback for them South Carolina Gamecocks. Ooh, Steven was clearly on a DB run here. Number 32, Will Lee, the blanket, up there, Texas A&M, outstanding player. Number 31, Dalen Everett, Georgia Bulldogs. Another great cornerback in this conference. And, hey, a couple of his teammates. Number 30, KJ Bolden, safety, Georgia Bulldogs. Number 29, Christian Miller, defensive line, Georgia Bulldogs. Number 28, Caleb Banks, Florida, defensive lineman. Number 27, Malik Muhammad, quarterback, Texas. Number 26, Tyreek Sapp, defensive line, Florida. Number 25, C.J. Allen, linebacker, Georgia. 24, Parker Brailsford, center, Alabama. Number 23, Torian York, linebacker, Texas A&M. Number 22, Caden Green, offensive lineman, Missouri. Was a guard. Now he's apparently left tackle. 21, Suntarine Perkins, linebacker, Ole Miss. Number 20, Eli Stowers, tight end, Vanderbilt. Number 19, Michael Taft, safety, Texas. Number 18, Cam Coleman, receiver, Auburn. Number 17, R. Mason Thomas, defensive line, Oklahoma. Number 16, L.T. Overton, defensive lineman, Alabama. 15, Diego Pavia. Quarterback, Vanderbilt. We all knew that. Number 14, Gerard McCoy, corner, Tennessee. Oh, here's where people are going to get pissed. 13, John Mateer, quarterback, Oklahoma, who Steven has as the top transfer player in the SEC. Number 12, Whit Weeks, linebacker, LSU. Number 11, Jake Slaughter, offensive lineman, Florida. Number 10, Kedrick Falk, defensive lineman, Auburn. Number 9, Caden Proctor, left tackle, Alabama. Number 8, Ryan Williams, receiver, Alabama. Number 7, DJ Lagway. Is he healthy? I don't know. Quarterback, Florida. Number 6, Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback, LSU. And possibly the most stunning, biggest upset on this entire list. No, Arch Manning is not number 1. I fought to keep him off number 1, but at the end, this was Steven's list. He's got Arch number 5. It's about 40 spots too high. Arch Manning, quarterback, Texas, number 5. Anthony Hill, linebacker, Texas, number 4. Dylan Stewart, defensive lineman, South Carolina, number 3. Colin Simmons, defensive line edge, Texas, number 2. That means number 1, of course, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina, quarterback. He's another one I fought for. So there's your list. Top 50 players from the SEC. Sorry that Steven's internet cut out. My voice is about to cut out. Maybe Shane's right. Maybe these morning shows get to you here late in the evening. Fire away. Maybe you got any other questions? Because Sven, I told you, Sven's still pissed. No Isaac Smith. Where the hell's he at? SEC leading tackler. I never get why people think leading tacklers. Again, Isaac Smith, a good player, but leading tacklers, that don't mean shit. That means the guys in front of you are abysmal. If someone in your secondary is leading the team in tackles, that means your front 7 is a damn joke. And clearly that's the case at Mississippi State. But yeah, probably should have put him in the top 50, but not too far. I mean, he's not like a top 10 guy or anything. Sven says, no, this makes no sense. He's fired up. Spartan, take a shot of whiskey. Maybe for a donation I would, but I was thinking we might do that when we do the watch party for some of these games. Again, I haven't talked to Shane. Shane's shithoused right now. We can't talk to him about this stuff. But when he's sobered up, when he gets back, we'll finalize plans for how many games we're going to do a watch along. But I know for a fact we're going to do it Auburn, Baylor. And I was thinking for every, again, donations totally optional. We don't want to sit here and beg for money because, you know, people don't have money, and we totally understand that. But we were thinking for every donation, we would drink alcohol. So it's on you guys to see how wasted do you want to get us. That is something we are considering for the watch along. Again, Shane may never drink again after this venture to the beach. I mean, that's like saying Shane's going to stick to a diet. But if you missed it, one more time, I mean, this photo is just, it's blowing my mind because we got a Modelo, we got a Twisted Tea, we got a Coors Light, we got the cigarettes, we got the, you can't not have the, it looks like sun tan lotion and the goldfish. I mean, classic Shane. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? All right, I'm running out of things to say. We do appreciate you. I think I'm going to hop on every morning this week. Shane says doing 5 shows in the morning is too hard. I'm going to show him that it's not while he's getting shithoused on the beach. We're still going to do tomorrow. I think we're going to go live tomorrow, and I do apologize for, you know, mixing the schedule up, but it's really dependent on the guests. And with Shane not here, we kind of have to accommodate other people's schedule. And I believe tomorrow's show will be 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central. That's what the guest told me he's available. So tomorrow we're going to go live 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central. That's the most up to date that I have. I'm not taking a shot for $2. That'll ruin my night. I won't be able to wake up and doing this morning show. I said for the watch along, we'll possibly do that. But again, all right. So that's all we got. Maybe if Steven's internet comes back up, we'll hop on and he can finish this list. But I'm not feeling too great about that. I think he's out of power. Maybe another day this week, but I'm not taking a shot. Not tonight. We appreciate you, each and every one of you. We'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Hey, buddy, this beer's for you, Mike, and Cousin Shane. That SEC podcast loves the Pirate, and the Pirate loves that SEC podcast. Hail State.